now in environment. So the overview of this is to sustain the management of environment and natural resources, because this is vital for economic growth and human well-being. Healthy ecosystems are essential for the long-term growth of economic sectors such as agriculture, forestry, fisheries, and tourism. They provide hundreds of millions of jobs. And these are the objectives of this topic. We have to conserve and manage the natural resources, conserve the biodiversities of this environment, control the pollutions that we make, and we have to gain variety of experiences, the basic understanding and knowledge about what is environment. Of course, we have to acquire the attitude of concern for the environment, the skills of identifying and solving environmental problems, and to participate in improvement and protection of the environment. So the biggest environmental problems are, number one is the acid rain, then overfishing, urban sprawl, deforestation, water pollution, population growth, waste production, and genetic modification of crops. So what are the five environmental concerns for 2019? So we have the biodiversity. This is the most complex and vital feature of our planet. We will tackle that on the next. Next we have the water. Water pollution is a huge concern for us and our environment. Also the deforestation. We need to plant trees to survive. Then we will also deal with pollution and the climate change. Now, what is biodiversity? So we are going to tackle the genetic diversity. So as we all know, these are the recombination or the breeding of subspecies. Maya't maya, nag-iiba. Diba? Like the coronavirus lang, diba? So there are strange na nagbabago. So this is defined as genetic variability presence within species. Genetic diversity is the product of recombination of genetic materials in the process of inheritance. It changes with time and space. The sexual reproduction is important in maintaining genetic diversity as it gives unique offspring by combining genes of parents. The mutation of genes, genetic drift, and gene flow are also responsible for genetic diversity. So what are the types of biodiversity? We have the genetic diversity. So every species on Earth is related to every other species through genetic connections. Species diversity. So species diversity is the variety of species within a habitat or a region. Then we have the ecological diversity, the biodiversity agreements, the human impact, and the conservation. So what is the importance of this? So it gives rise to different physical attributes to the individual and capacity to adapt to stress, diseases, and unfavorable environmental conditions. Environmental changes that are natural or due to human intervention lead to the natural selection and survival of the fittest. Hence, due to genetic diversity, the varieties that are susceptible die and the ones who can adapt to change which survive. Also, genetic diversity is important for a healthy population by maintaining different varieties of genes that might be resistant to pests, diseases, or other conditions. So therefore, new varieties of plants can be grown by crossbreeding different genetic variants and produce plants with desirable traits like disease resistance, increased tolerance to stress. Genetic diversity also reduces the recurrence of undesirable inherited traits. Genetic diversity ensures that at least there are some survivors of a species left. So kaya ginagawa ng not only in the Philippines, no, and this is now famous, no, the cloning, no, of animals, for examples. Not only the animals, even the plants. No? They experiment on how, no, to preserve, no, the species. No? We are example also of species, even humans. No? Dati we do only natural things like how panagdadami, no? Through sex. No, but now we have insemination, we have cloning. No? So, ganun din sa ibang species. Okay? So, genetic diversity examples, different breeds of dogs. Diba? So, pinaghahalo natin yung mga breed ng dogs to create a new breed. No? An example is halimbawa, kuha ka ng pitbull, diba? Kuha ka ng shih tzu. So, i-breed mo yung dalawang yan. Anong kalalabasan? Bullshit. Joke. Okay? So, different varieties of rose, flowers, with, no, etc. No, diba? There are many interventions nowadays, no? Like sa rice natin, it is not grown naturally in the field. No? So, ginagamitan na rin ng genetics science. So, there are more than 50,000 varieties of rice, more than 1,000 varieties of mangoes found in India. Not only in India, but also in other countries. Sa atin, marami na. No? The Indian mangoes, the Carabao mangoes, no? Apple mangoes, and so forth. So, different varieties of medicinal plant. No? Tinitignan na natin yan because we are now bumabalik tayo, no, sa dati. Diba? Napapansin ninyo, puro mga supplements na tayo ngayon. Tinatanggal, halos natatanggal na natin yung western side of medicine. So, mga supplements, ginagawa na nila, no? By means of organic genetics, no? Or organic farming. Then conservation of genetic diversity. Since lahat tayo, marami na kumakain, no? Marami ng consumers, then we have to produce mas marami. Okay? That's why we have to develop. Kaya lang, by means of developing ng mga species or ng mga organisms, nagkakaroon din ng outbreaks ng mga disease. May mga bagong mga lumalabas na mga sakit. Okay? But still, we continue studying them. Like this COVID, no? Itong virus na to, it kills millions already. But, hindi po sagot ang vaccine, no? Vaccine is just a control. Okay? Parang flu yan, no? Yung flu naman, walang gamot din eh. Di ba, ang flu, may sipon ka, may ubo ka, no? So, hindi natatanggal. Magiging normal na siguro sa atin yung COVID na yan balang araw. Because of the vaccine that they developed, pinahihina nila resistance. But, unfortunately, kada experiment nila, may lumalabas din na magiging resistant tayo dun sa ginagawa nila. Okay? So there are various methods to conserve biodiversity. Number one is in situ conservation. What is this? It is impossible to conserve the whole of biodiversity, so there are certain hotspots that identified and conserved to protect species that are endemic to a particular habitat and are threatened, endangered, or at high risk getting extinct, like wildlife, sanctuary, national parks. No? Example of this in the Philippines is the monkey-eating eagle and the tamaraw. No? So tayo lang may tamaraw sa buong mundo. Okay? This is a type of buffalo. No? So kaya pinangangalagaan natin yan. What we do? Here we have the Central Luzon State University cloning this tamaraw. Okay? Then, we have the ex situ conservation. Threatened plants and animals are taken out from their natural habitat and kept in a special setting to give them special care and protection. Like the botanical gardens, the zoos, the wildlife safari, etc. Ganun din ngayon, no? Sa mga bahay, di ba? Yan, mga plantitas na. Kukuha tayo ng kakaibang halaman na gusto nating pagandahin, no? Ayusin, no? So this can help, no? Huwag naman nating ubusin, like yung mga nakukuha nating mga halaman sa bundok, no? Kasi yung iba sa atin talaga, di ba, pag ginawa mo yan, ilagay mo sa paso, katulad lang yung mga gabing yan, no? So, yung pala, elephant ear pala yung malalaking gabing yan, no? You put them in a pot, ganda nga tingnan, no? Diba? Mahal pa. Kaya lang, we need to propagate this. We need to, kung kumuha tayo, palitan naman natin, like pagkat ng trees, diba? So, kailangan natin i-preserve naman din. Okay? Next, we have the species diversity. So, species diversity is defined as the number of different species present in the ecosystem and relative abundance of each of those species. So, diversity is the greatest when all the species present are equally among that area. So, kaya hindi natin dapat patayin lahat, no? Like yung mga gagamba, di ba? Like yung mga lamok, like yung mga bulate. So, these have, no? Kahit tayo, no? We have our own way, no? Helping each other. This is cycle, eh. Di ba? So, dapat natin mag-iwan din tayo. Hindi po pwede 100% papatayin natin. No, kasi mag-i-imbalance yung species diversity natin. Nakakatulong naman yan. Yet, pag sobrang dami na, doon lang naman napapasama. So, what we do is to lessen them, not to kill them all, 100%. Okay? So, the importance of species diversity, a large number of plant species, means a greater variety of crops. Greater species diversity ensures natural sustainability for all life forms. So, matay kang kuha ng pagkain, di ba? Where do we depend, no? Sa halaman. Sila lang ang nagpo-produce, no? Tayong mga animals ang kumakain, nagko-consume. So, healthy ecosystems can better withstand and recover from a variety of disasters. Also, to preserve the diversity in wildlife. Mga kumakain ng exotic foods, pwede naman natin kainin yan. But, in limits naman, di ba? Hindi pwedeng ubusin mo lahat. So, these are the examples of ecosystem with high species diversity, like the tropical rainforest. Ilan na lang ba ang rainforest dito sa Pilipinas? Coral reefs, no? Masyado tayong sakim, no? Lahat na lang ang makikita natin sa ilalim ng tubig o sa ibabaw ng lupa, kinukuha natin. So, how can we produce? So, yung coral reefs natin, dito nakatira ang mga mga aquatic, no, resources natin. Paano na tayo in the future? Yung mga magiging anak ninyo, magiging apo ninyo, kung uubusin natin lahat ito. That's why we have to preserve. So that leads to species diversity is the world is facing an accelerated rate of extinction of species due to human activities, di ba? So yan ang ginagawa nila. Masyado nilang inuubos. No? Masyado nating inuubos. Dapat magtitira pa rin tayo. Or pag halimbawa, pumutol tayo ng puno, then we replant. No? Para meron sa susunod. So, these are the threat, no? Species diversity. Number one is the overexploitation. No, it leads to the extinction of many species. Masyado tayo, like mga marine fishes natin. Masyado natin silang kinukuha kahit maliliit pa. Makikita mo sa palengke, mga isda, liliit na napapatay na. Paano masusustain yan? Then, two is the alien species invasion. When alien species are introduced deliberately or unintentionally, some of them become invasive, leading to extinction of indigenous species. Halimbawa, sa isang aquarium, maglagay ka ng fighting fish or carnivorous fish, ubusin niya lahat yun. Diba? Hindi siya doon nakatira. No? Alam mo naman na dapat ihiwalay siya ng aquarium. No? Hindi po pwedeng lagay ka lang ng lagay kung ano isda. No? You have to see kung adaptable ba siya doon. No? So, these are the illegal introduction of some species na hindi po pwedeng ilagay dun sa mga walang kakayahang lumaban. Next, we have co-extinctions. When a species become extinct, the species that are associated with it also become extinct. No? Kasi cycle nga tayo, no? When a host feels extinct, the parasite also extinct. So, mutualism like a plant pollinator. Diba? Ano ba yung mga plant pollinator natin? These are the bees, no? Diba? Sila yung nagbibigay, nagpapabulaklak, nagpapabuka ng plants natin. Kung nawala na yung mga yan, ano pa mangyayari? Diba? So, when we say mutualism, give and take. Like, for example, yung orchids, no? Tumitira siya sa puno. And then, hindi naman nasasaktan yung puno ng orchids. Then, we have the ecological diversity. It is the variation of the ecosystem found in a region or the variation in ecosystems over the whole planet. So, a healthy biodiversity provides a number of natural services for everyone. So, what are these? These are the protection of water resources, soil formation and protection, nutrient storage and recycling, pollution breakdown and absorption, contribution to climate stability, maintenance of ecosystems, and recovery from unpredictable events. Ito rin yung mga tumutulong sa atin. Pag nagla-landslide, bakit nagla-landslide? Nawawala yung protection nila. Ano yung protector nila? Diba yun yung mga puno? Ha? Yung mga nutrients, nilalagyan natin ng, halimbawa sa soil, nilalagyan natin ng mga pesticides, namamatay yung nutrients ng soil. No? Then we have the biological resources. Ito naman kinukunan natin. No? Pinagkukunan natin sila ng food, number one. So plants are the producers, animals are the consumers. No? Then we can get medicinal resources and pharmaceutical drugs, wood products, ornamental plants, breeding stocks, no, for the population reservoir, then future resources, diversity in genes, species, and ecosystem. So, minsan tayo lang ang meron nito, wala ang ibang bansa, di ba? Ng mga genes na ito, halimbawa, isang, like the tamaraw, halimbawa, tayo lang ang meron sa buong mundo ng tamaraw. So, kailangan pangalagaan natin. Tayo lang ang meron monkey-eating eagle. So, kailangan pangalagaan natin. Tayo lang, mostly, no? Ang daming mga wildlife na dapat naingatan natin kasi nag-extinct na sila. So, we need to do something about it. Then, the social benefit of it, ginagamit natin siya sa research, education, and monitoring. Then, recreation and tourism. Of course, the cultural values. So, these are the environmental organizations in the Philippines that can help, no? Malay mo, magtayo kayo ng foundation about environment, no? So, these are the worldwide, example of these are the Worldwide Fund for Nature, Waves for Water, Save Philippine Seas, Earth Island Institute, Greenpeace Philippines, Haribon Foundation, Rare Mother Earth Foundation, Philippine Biodiversity Conservation Foundation, Marine Wildlife Watch of the Philippines. So, malay mo meron pa kayong gustong i-input na foundation na pwedeng mangalaga sa ating species, no? Dito sa Pilipinas. These are only just example. So, we need to set an example. Okay? So, human impact. So, the gas, the waste, and the water. The air pollution, wildfires, soil pollution, noise pollution, deforestation. Ito yung mga activity ng human na dapat nating iwasan. So, here in PUP Taguig, no? So, we help environment. We invite some people that can help us, like for example, the DNR, no? Yung mga ibang ka-tie up natin, we need to tie up, no? With other resources like the LGUs, no? O kung ano yung kailangan natin. So, this is what we are doing, no? In PUP Taguig. So, yan, mga pictures nila makikita mo. No? The first solution, sila rin nagbigay ng mga halaman sa atin. Pati ang DNR. So, the activities that you can make, no, on this topic, no? So, you may plant any vegetables in your backyard or terrace or any part of your house, at least 2 varieties. We can do, we can plant eggplant, tomato, pechay, lettuce, etc. No? This is what we call the urban farming. No? So, you have to put it on a recycled PET bottle or any recyclable container. No? So, a minimum of 5 seedlings. No? Gawa kayo, 5 yan. And then put label on every container, then name of vegetables. Then you have to monitor this. No? Lagyan nyo ng, like this example na, halimbawa, yung pechay, the first week. So, eto siya, buto pa lang siya. Second week, tumubo na. No? Third week, ano na nangyari? Fourth week, ano na? And so forth. Hanggang sa i-harvest nyo na. So, this can help, no? Not only, hindi porket wala kayong lupa, wala kayong sakahan, no? Hindi na kayo pwedeng magtanim, no? So, we are introducing to you the urban farming. Para may makain din tayo. Napakamahal, like yung sili lang ngayon, magkano na kilo? 800, umabot ng 1,000. So, how can we help? Let's plan. No? Sa mga bahay natin. Sa paso, sa mga PET bottle. So, we need to plan, no, for monitoring, na, secretation, ilagay yung papel sa isang, dun sa PET bottle, then check nyo ano na nangyari for this week. No, final checking or submission of this report, No, magpapasa kayo ng report dito from day 1 up to the final submission. No? So, sa first week of March, sasubmit nyo yan. Then, what is the benefit of it? It may teach us on how to have a vegetable garden from our own home na organic. Now, you can use some fertilizers, natural fertilizers, no? Na pwede nyo gamitin. Yung mga balat ng pinaggulayan, no? Mga tinabasan, no? You can use that. Okay? Or you can use yung mga pinagputulan ng mga, halimbawa, yung pechay. Kunin mo yung may ugat, no? Itanim mo uli, patubuhin mo uli, maganda rin yan. Okay? No? To help, no? Hindi lang naman ang inyong pamilya, lalo na ang nanay ninyo, no? Nahihirapan ang mag-budget, no? What we do is to help them, no? Hindi lang tayo kain ng kain. So, this activity will do us share our part, no, in the environment. Okay? So, have a nice day. This is Dr. Nelson Angeles, your CWDS coordinator in Philippine Taguig. Thank you.